Now, take a seat. I would like to also introduce Cindy Jin from CGG, all the way from China. And Jordan Aldrich from Sunrise Sports, all the way from the US. And I said before, I'm not a very good squash player, so I'm not also very good at courts, but I am going to be the one asking the questions. So please also think about questions that you want to ask. So I'm very curious about the courts and how we can use that. You don't have to clap for me. You've seen me all day. Thank you, guys. It's actually, I think from my perspective, what I think is really fascinating is to have this variety of court innovators and court builders. And I think it's fantastic that we have a perspective from different parts of the world. So Europe, China, the US, and I mean, obviously I've been working for PSA for 10 years. And I think this is the first time that we have so many different nationalities together in a panel like this. So thank you for coming all the way here, and thank you for what you're doing. So Rik obviously already introduced himself and a little bit of the courts. So Cindy, I believe you have a little slide to present yourself.
This one? Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Hello everybody, I'm Cindy. I'm here to represent CGG Squash from China. So our company is based in China, and I'm actually based in Canada, so that we have a North American presence. I think soon I'll be moved to Egypt, so that we have more exposure in this part of the world. So our products are in all forms of squash courts. We're specializing in glass courts, but now that we also have paddle courts, plastic courts, that's in our portfolio. We're also working on various of products, so that we are presenting to the world more squash innovations. We're also working with clubs, owners, and universities, schools in court refurbishment, which we think is the next booming emerging market for squash courts. Even though we're known as a court builder, we're also very vertically integrated in the squash community. We operate our own clubs. We train our athletes, including juniors and professional players. We also have our own coaches, referee programs, our trainings, and then we also organize our events. So even though today we're here to talk about court building and construction, but we look forward to partnerships and collaboration through all the above aspects. So I'll pass on to Jordan.
Hey, I'm just going to be completely transparent. I've been fearing this moment all week. So, which button do we wish? Okay, so I'm Jordan Aldrich. I'm the owner of Sunrise Courts. Been building courts for almost 20 years now. I worked for other companies prior to starting my own company. We just manufacture and install in the United States. We have a group of about 12 guys that we've all worked together for quite a while. So you can see we're actually working in Squash-wise currently, so an SEA project for Abby Marco. So it's they're finishing some floors and game lines currently, but there's Steel City is one of the SEA projects we started with last year. The glass court, we do Sandfield, we do panel. We redid all Vassar's courts this year. So we do quite a bit. I have not done any outdoor stuff yet, but we're trying to, whatever we do, I try to do it as well as possible. Like I don't have a business starting point. I'm an installer, so I have hands-on experience in what I do. So things have to be practical for me to get to that next level. So that's how I attack a situation or how I look at it. My perception is definitely from living in the hotel to being there every day until the client actually gets to play on their courts. Anyhow, I don't know how much more. Oh, we're back to that. So that's it.
That's okay, Jordan. It's
Okay.
good to, we all are here part of the squash family, so we're all just here having a conversation, and I think it's really, really important. We just saw, obviously, Rik's modular court is something really new. The outdoor court, I can say, was a challenge to install in Chicago, and it took a really long time to do that. I think since COVID is when we started kind of talking a little bit more about outdoor courts, and we've gone through multiple stages, and then we finally were able to open the one in Chicago. I think based on this, we can see that there is a lot of innovation with squash courts and squash courts construction. So from your perspective, how important is it to be innovative in the way that we build courts around the world?
Yeah, I think I mentioned a bit in the presentation that if you're not bound to, yeah, that's a part of the modular concept. I think that if you're not bound to locations, it's much more easy to spread the facilities and your infrastructure and go to new territories, new audience, and grow the sport. So, yeah, I think that already helped.
I'll say that as I started, things were pretty, I won't say like caveman, but the installation of squash has evolved from just the indoor side of it from what we've done. We now put in a pre-sanded, pre-finished product. So then what we were sanding and the players were getting on something that was like slippery right off the get-go when they first bought it. Now they can use it the day the lines are done. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it, even when we're filling walls, things aren't all dusty all over. Like we try to use extractors and things to keep the facility, because in installation, especially in indoor, I want a white box. I want everything finished and to be treated like a cabinet. What's very hard to do when a squash court is 700 square feet of space and you have a lot to finish. And when there's a lot of courts, I mean, you can imagine if there's 13 courts, if there's 8 courts, like there's a lot to finish inside of there, and you can have some rough parts of that. So the innovations of what the client gets and what they have to deal with at the end of it help us as installers, so the job is easier to accomplish. It's not so specialized that like you have to have super specific knowledge to get there. It's attainable, I guess is my perspective.
I think to add on that, innovation comes with functions and purpose. I think 5 years ago, we don't have the model court, or we do. That's just not a thing. Like squash was always played indoor. Now that we bring it outside, because we wanted to have more exposure, we wanted to attract more people. Now that squash is in LA, we wanted to have more population that play. So it comes with outdoor squash, outdoor courts. That's the function of the outdoor court. But in terms of a purpose, like we build movable courts for tournaments. But those are, you know, when we just mentioned, you can play with PSA tournaments. So I think when you're talking about functions and purpose, that will also triggers the needs for product innovation.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of innovation, are there any trends of what is happening now? Is there a little bit more glass, a little bit more steel? We've seen the steel court as well, that it's in Queens, in New York. Are there any materials that are coming up that are different, that are new in terms of innovation? Obviously, Rik, your floor is completely different, both for indoor and outdoor. So are there any type of particular innovations that are coming through in that sense, in building?
Go ahead.
We do. So definitely glass courts are definitely in the booming. And you know, we're very proud of our wooden courts and wooden floors. I think that gives the athletes the protection when they play, they feel safe. But at the same time, you know, when we talk about bringing the courts outdoor, we are actually developing new materials, more recyclable, more environmental friendly, and you know, lastly, more importantly, is more durable than wooden floors. So for wooden floors, you probably need to replace every 3 years, 5 years. But then for the new products, it lasts longer and it fits the outdoor environment. So I think that's what comes with this one example that we have in terms of material.
For us, so we have R&D at our facility, and so we've been trying new wall panels for outside. Just in New York, one of the first people that tried an outdoor thing, vandalism happened, right? And so with glass, even in installation, glass can break, and it makes it pretty tough. I know visibility is really key. It grows a sport because you can get new people because they want to see it. It's this great spectacle. But also there needs to be a durability and a safety portion of that. So my perspective is like, I don't want something to break at the end. I don't want to call back. So what other products could I use that give the correct ball response is where my, that's what we're currently working on a couple things. So anyhow.
I think that innovation also, you have to see what is your audience. I think like a glass cord for professional use is different, can be different than a cord for amateur use. And then I think the challenge would be to be able to make it really affordable, so that all kinds of customers are able to buy the cords. And that's also, I think, something to get more access to the cords is one of them. And I think for professional use, it all needs to be much more smooth. And I think there's another game.
So obviously with the Olympics, being part of the Olympic movement now, there's a lot of more commercial interest. Have you seen more people wanting to build courts, a lot more interesting courts, and what type of courts are they interested in? Because obviously we are also competing with other racket sports, which I'll touch upon later, but have you seen a difference in terms of commercial opportunities after the Olympics? And I know, Rik, you've only started kind of getting into the market lately, but has that something that has changed? I mean, Jordan, you've been in the business for a long time. Have you seen that particularly in the US or not?
So I've been asked this question a couple of times. Well, not a couple of times, probably, 20 times. And I'll say that as squash, I mean, years ago, I've been out on the road 330 days out of the year. So I have worked squash consistently all the way through. So what I will say is I've built a ton of courts over and over and over again, and I think squash was, there wasn't as much publicity around squash because it wasn't an Olympic sport, and I think that there is growth to it because of that. But I will say that I worked nonstop for almost 20 years, and I'd put up hundreds of courts. I can't say that the Olympics is driving it, and that there's this. Our phone rings off the hook, and I'll have built probably 15 new courts this year, and gut renovations probably 40, and another renovations of 35. So we keep things going. So I can't say that the phone's ringing more than it was before, but I can't say we've been working nonstop.
Okay.
I definitely see a surge in demands in glass courts, in courts in general. Glass courts, yes, especially in China, because we are based in China, we see a lot of inquiries for courts. One of the reasons is because China squash has been, we developed our squash very late. We're trying to chase after, Egypt squash or in US squash or all the great countries that have a mature squash program. And then it takes time to train our athletes, but our infrastructure has already set up. I think our company, CGG, is probably one of the first companies in Asia, in China, to start court infrastructure. We are still the only accredited company that is recognized by WSF, and we are very proud of it. We do see a lot of demands. We also see a lot of competition that's driving the competition in infrastructure. So there are players coming because they see the potential. They see the potential in squash being in the Olympics, and they are competing with us on prize. We are very proud of our quality, our experience, our expertise through all these years. So we have to reform our strategy of how to go to market, how to collaborate, and because Still, with all the aspects that we built into our business model, we're not only a court builder. I think that gives us the unique feature of our business model so that we can go a long way in collaborating in order to grow squash.
So I think that you've touched upon something really important there, and that is infrastructure to grow squash. So without courts, we have nowhere to play. And obviously in China, we've seen that there's a big boom in building a lot of courts. After COVID, the boom of trying to build more outdoor courts as well. Why is that important to create more accessibility? Why is it important for us to build more courts when there are places in the world, as we saw with Omar Lossi Academy yesterday, he's using courts that are already built, that have maybe not been as used. Why is it important to build more courts, to build attractive and innovative courts, to keep the sport relative and to keep it interesting and attractive to people?
Yeah, I love the game, and I also played for 30 years, and just what I said, I saw the boom of padel in the Netherlands, and you see people getting so enthusiastic, and I think there was quite a decline in the Netherlands with courts, and I think it's due to the possibilities of courts being placed on maybe also because the infrastructure we already had was not appealing enough anymore. So that was the reason why I got involved in this adventure. And I think there's, what I say is a huge potential as I see that padel is growing so rapidly. I don't see why we can't. And I think the sport offers a lot in these days and really fits in this society at the moment, because it's a really healthy sport. It's an efficient sport. It only takes you 45 minutes. You just need one partner to play with. So there's so much. I think there are so much options for the sport to grow, because there's a lot of opportunity in the concept of the sport itself. That's fine.
So there's as far as for squash construction, we do a lot of work for SEA programs, or I have, and so it's the more courts that go in to see what happens with the kids afterwards and the opportunities that are given. I see a lot of more of those being put up in America, and it means that we're giving back. It means, for me, it means that I'm doing my job. When I go to Steel City and I see 150 kids in there getting opportunities to get into college, it's, for me, when I see new courts going in and I hear it's an SEA project, that's the funnest parts to me. Like, people say, where's the coolest place that you put up a court? I don't really care. I like to see what it's done with at the end of it. So for me, new court construction, I like seeing what the SEA is doing and putting new courts in other cities around America, and what they're expanding and using the sport for to create other opportunities for kids is pretty cool for me. So
I think in terms of growing squash, it means that you have more people playing, more people interested, either on a professional level or just for fun, for leisure. Access court is a great example, so that it opens up to everybody, to the public. I personally have seen in some part of the world, I'm not gonna name it, but they are very exclusive. They require a high privilege, membership fee to get access to the court, or they're owned by federations, associations that are just not open to the public, or they're owned by schools, they're just not open to the public. You either have to pay a membership on a monthly basis to use the courts, but then some parents, they come up to us and saying that, hey, I just want a court for my kids to play, to train, but why do I pay a membership for all the other facilities, a swimming pool that we don't even use? So I think accessibility not only from outdoor to attract people, but also from training perspective, you want everybody to have the same opportunity to use a court to train, or even not to be a professional level. I'm just gonna go for fun. I just wanted to try it out, and I love it. I'll play it for at my free time on a frequent basis. I think that also gives you the accessibility for the public to use a court in order to grow the sport.
I think China is a very interesting, it's a very interesting example. So in the recent years, in the past 2-3 years, what do you think has been the growth of court building in China? And what's the projection as well?
I think for us, I'm only speaking from CGG perspective. I'm not representing any other organization in China. We built 20 to 30, even to 40 courts in China. And in total, inside and outside of China. So it's interesting enough, most of them are glass courts. I think we introduced the format to use all glass court in the facility. We have like 3, 4, or even 7 courts in one club with all the glass court format. And it is because it's easy to install, easy to maintain, and then we are there to help them to grow the business. I would say the number definitely has grown from the past. It's probably start with like single digits or 10 courts per year. Now it is easily 20 to 30.
And are these private courts or public courts?
So some are private, some are from schools that they run school programs. They train their own school kids or players. Or some are public, but when we talk about public, it's not in the public setting, in the park. It's more of in a club. We have this pay and play format in China. You pay for an hour, you book the court for an hour, you can play for an hour. You don't need any membership, you don't need any it's just less requirement, less restricted. You can just go and play.
A very interesting model is, if you don't know what SEA is, that Jordan was talking about, is the Squash Education Alliance. So in the US, there's a very, very big organization, which Renata has also mentioned before. They work with underprivileged children from mostly high schools or underserved areas, and then they provide squash and academic support to lead into mostly the objective of going into college. That's just in a nutshell. But what is interesting about all of these programs is that a lot of these programs in the US are actually building their own facilities. And the US is one of those countries where it's difficult to access some courts unless you're a member of certain private clubs. That's changing a little bit now. So you've mentioned that model a lot, Jordan, and obviously I think that you're obviously very passionate about the work that you do with them. What is the scope of this? How are these facilities being built, and how are they used? Are they also accessible for other people to be used, or is it just for those kids for those programs?
So I'll be reaching a little bit to say I know a lot about this, but I have worked with Greg Zaft, I worked with Renato, I built his facility. So when they're going into it, sometimes they'll get a place, like Abby's that we're working on, they got some money back because they're putting back into the community. But they're... I don't know. I think I'm lost at this point. Just the SEA, what they're giving back to the kids is, they're getting something and giving something, and they're leaving behind a legacy, really. So.
The facilities, Renato, is your facility open to the public? Yes. You can pay and play in your facility. Yes. Okay, that's really
Not all of them are that way. Is that correct?
Correct. Not all of them are open to the public, but that is a way of getting people also to play.
There's another portion of that that's an urban portion of that. Is that?
The new trend that's coming up, that these facilities will become public more often. What the old the new style.
Yeah, so the old style was just for the kids, now it's being opened up for people to use. Are we, and I think over time, exactly, that's one of the examples of things changing, right? You invest so much in these facilities that now you want to open them up to the public. Last year we were in Miami, well this year we were in Miami at Racket X, where you had the court that you showed for the first time. Multi-racket facilities is something that is a very trendy move now. How do you guys fit, and how do you see this in the multi-racket boom, where there's paddle courts being built, pickleball courts being built? Where do squash courts fit in this equation?
I think right within. We spoke to some owners of multi-facility clubs in the States, big clubs with 30 tennis courts, 20 pedal courts, and they didn't know the option for sports also for outdoors, but it was nice to show them, tell them as well. I think for their especially that location, it was quite obvious for them. They've seen the option also to put indoor and outdoor courts. They wanted also to add that. I think for other facilities, you need to be aware that also there the business case is also similar and can be competing with the other rated sports. So this is an important part as well. And that will say something on what you can charge for a course. So that will be like pedal courts are at the moment produced by hundreds, maybe thousands. So that price goes right down. You see though that the prices are really different depending on the countries. But I think that's a really important part to notice. At a certain point, yeah, especially like if you have to compete as well to pickleball and to tennis, they use more space, but pickleball fields you just need like to level the ground and you need some foundation, but then a net, that's it. So once you're able to do that, to compete within the business case, I think it's quite, yeah, we have quite a good option to get in every of these facilities. And yeah, it will be interesting to see how it will be combined. I think it will be, you will see now how it will be used simultaneously, which kind of racket sports. And I was discussing this with Sina that you have really different types of skills needed for pickle, tennis, pedal. But squash, I think, what I already said, the entry barrier is a bit higher, especially for the physical part. But then, yeah, I think for certain players that can be really interesting and challenging, and therefore really interesting to add. That will be like in comparison to pickleball, where it is like a social sport, less physical, can be really interesting to add squash. So you have an all different audience within your facility. So yeah, I think there's a lot of chance for squash to add to these facilities.
I would say it fits perfectly, and because we're already in it. So we're working with an Asian client who is launching his multi-ball facility, multi-ball club in Asia, including squash, including pedal, including racquetball. So we're already in it. And they actually come up to us and say, hey, since that you built glass walls, why did you build into pedal, look into pedal? It also comes with walls, it will be easy conversion. So we see it as, but squash is entry level is high, it's have a high barrier of entry. You know, your capability is a very intense sport. But I think the idea is when people are coming for pickleball, you know, they can see the courts right next to them, and it will intrigue them of trying. You know, pickleball can attract a lot of generations coming to the court, and you know, for those people who are interested in playing or trying squash, here you go. That's how you grow your population. So we are already in this format, and we've seen people coming to us saying, "Hey, we're building a multi-ball facility. How are you going to help?" So we've definitely seen a lot growing formats like this And we're happy. For the past World Games, we built 2 international racquetball courts. So it's not exactly the same, it's similar, but it can be easily converted. It's definitely more complex because it comes with a roof, but when it's come with this course, you are easily converted to different format. And I think that's the beauty of this glass court format. It can easy to maintain, easy to build, and easy to play.
Yeah.
I guess from our side, we've gotten a lot of calls for an all-inclusive style. So basically, they know we're a racket sports contractor and we're already there. So they were like, will you do pickleball? Will you do padel? It is easy when you're tooled already and you're at the space, like you're already living in a hotel, you've already got the rentals and your equipment on site. Padel and squash aren't much different in the materials that are being used to assemble. However, pickleball is a surfacer, so you don't need as much. You need the core for the net. So, but we have got a lot of calls that they want to just call one person and have it done and dealt with, rather than just call each vendor to apply. So that'd be my perspective.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of the questions that I had, but there is also someone in the audience that, we've mentioned him a lot, Dr. Ashraf Nafi. You are building, I know that this is, you're building a lot of courts here in Egypt. How does that relate to, and obviously you've done it for many years as well, how does that relate to participation here in Egypt, the different courts, the different types of courts that we've been building? Maybe you want to give us a little bit of an input of what the scope is like in Egypt.
Well, firstly, we built courts, we built that very high standard of courts. So we look after the world